one of the things that I feel in our country is a big problem and has to the gun violence, and I've heard you speak on this, is the amount of guns on the street, right? So how do we fix that problem? That's still something that confuses me to this day, is the gun problem we have in this country. How do we stop that to minimize violence? How do we lower that to minimize violence? I know it's not possible, but doesn't it add to the violence of the streets?
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
Yeah, so, that's the goal.
I'm from New York City. We don't have the same gun liberties.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
New York has the strictest gun laws.
Yeah.
Right. You have people advocating for stricter laws.
Yeah.
Right. What is a stricter law gonna do for me if I don't give a fuck about carrying a gun?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So all you're doing is adding more time to the prison industrial complex to have them for them to have consumers longer.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay. So now when you look at the fluctuation of guns, we just had a rally in D.C. where we was, going at the NRA.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Right. They got all the money to promote, and they push into our communities. Like I said, New York, we don't have that, but we have a high level of guns going into our community because it continues to push the system, right? So those who have that strength are never going to allow us to just say, hey, don't push those guns in out here. Yeah. Right? So what we got to do is continue to work with the individuals who they're pushing the guns to not want to pick up those guns, not want to buy those guns, not want to shoot those guns.
I see. Okay. So it's more about, okay, I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying now, that it's not about the guns coming in, it's about focusing on the individuals who are going to get them and trying to change that, because you're not going to ever stop the guns.
We're not going. That's I got a lot of people that are deep into legislation on guns.
Yeah.
Every time we work with Moms Demand Action. Different organizations in New York that focus on changing and make laws different. And I don't go at them and say, hey, don't do that, don't go for strict laws. No, that's their way of working it, right? Because we have more than one method to do that.
Yeah.
Right, but we understand that, no, that's not going to change that, right? You got that iron pipeline that pushes the guns up to New York, right? So they're making enough money off of it, they're going to continue to do that. So you do exactly what I just said. You focus on the individuals.
Yeah.
Right? Because I looked at myself coming up in my projects. Everybody I know that came up with me didn't carry guns and go to jail.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't just the neighborhood, it was the mindset. It was what I was willing to do and what I wasn't willing to do versus somebody else, right? So I didn't get that message. I didn't get that support. I didn't get nothing else. And now that's why I run this organization, to be able to help them understand by giving them those things they didn't have.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely totally agree with what you're saying. That's very true, actually. In this whole thing, what does the role of, and I've heard you speak on this in plenty of interviews about the role that hip hop plays in all of this. How do you feel that is intertwined in all of this? And do you feel that the hip hop that a lot of kids are listening to nowadays, or a lot of younger guys, 17, 18, is promoting a lot of violence and influencing them to commit acts of violence?
It's definitely conflicting because you have so many that say art imitates life, life imitates art, right?
Yes.
And you have so many artists or rappers or whatever they want to call themselves who speak about this life at a level of glamorization that just disturbs me because living the life of guns, drugs, I ain't never want to glam. I ain't never want to be part of that. Okay. Never want to talk about it. So why do you want to, push it out there like this is all you can speak about? That's not a real talent to me.
Yeah.
Unless it has some purpose to that pain, right? To that, to what you're talking about. But I want to say it like this: when you look at what you told me earlier, when you went through the things you went through and you turned to hip hop.
Yeah.
We turned to music.
Yes.
So we're not just going to say hip-hop because you're going to listen to some rock that is, oh my gosh, terrible, like scares the shit out of me. And I come from the worst of the worst, like what the heck is they talk about? With all that black on, yelling and screaming, death, kill, devil, right?
Yeah.
And are there young people who are listening to that music and responding that way? It's, of course, right? Yes. But that's not my neighborhood, my community, so I don't know the effects of rock and its violence to young people, right? So I'm speaking on the hip-hop. And there's powerful and there's negative hip hop. But what we all have to realize is that music is more potent than any drug, right? I sold drugs for a lot of years, many years ago, right? So I've been over 10 years plus of no selling drugs. And in the time when I ran the streets, I knew some functional crackheads, right? That you would never know. You would see, they would go to work, come home, they'd call me, I'd come knock on their door, serve them, and they'll be in the house, and then tomorrow they're going to work. Nobody never knew I knew, right? And I see him in the street, how you doing? Yo, come see me later, no problem. But you would never know.
Yeah.
Right? Because the level of tolerance of that person has. Every crackhead doesn't go to the street and see him running around looking wild, right? So I say that to say the tolerance on who you are when you listen to music, right? And the potency is it shoots straight to your soul.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you listening to R&B and you going through with your shorty, you gonna feel that song, right? You gonna relate, right?
Yep.
All right. So that's the same thing with the hip hop, right? If I'm a young teen coming up and I'm hearing this music and it's what I'm going through or what I'm seeing, I'm relating, right? So now it's somebody telling me I'm not the only person going through this, right? So now as I'm relating, I'm just like, okay, well, if I'm not the only person going through and everybody else is living like that, I might as well keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because the masses through the music is telling me this is what's happening everywhere else.
Yeah. So I want to ask you something, man. I did a lot of research for your interview. I watched a lot of your interviews and I read a lot of your stuff. And I saw you on The Breakfast Club, right? I wanted to ask you, man, like you made a statement in there that I think it got kind of passed over, but it was really powerful to me. Is you said, why did it take my brother passing for this interview to happen? We've reached out to you guys many a times. And before when my brother was okay and alive and well, and y'all didn't want to do it.
Nobody wanted to talk.
So why do you think that is? Is it, again, you think the whole negativity thing, that people are just drawn to negativity and they want to put that on their platform, so they try to call you and try to get you there after the negatives happened?
Right. So I believe that society realizes the attention that negativity gets.
Okay.
Right. Like I just said about the sharing of the
Yeah,
negative posts,
exactly.
right? So someone sitting in a position wants something that gets them that attention, right?
Yeah.
Gets what people want to talk about. So they gravitate towards it, right?
Yeah.
You're feeding the same the negative fuel. And that was really troubling for me because the work I was doing, like I said, that my brother got killed last year, right? 2016.
Yeah.
And I came home in 2008. I got my organization in 2000 and funded in 2015.
Yeah.
Right. I was featured in the daily news and everything. Right. I could show all the positives, but y'all didn't reach out to me at that point because there was no controversy in my positivity.
No controversial
right?
story.
Yeah, you couldn't get people to talk about it, and you couldn't talk down on the positivity and talk the slick, nasty talk, right? That you do when you get a situation that gives people something to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So that was real disturbing for me, and great that you noticed that and pointed that out.
Yeah.
Because people will pass over those things because they can't answer up to them.
They did. They passed it right over.
Can't answer up to it.
And and it got passed on everything. But it was. I noticed that, and I just thought, I thought that was bold of you to try to say that. You know.
Definitely, I'm gonna point something else out. When you look at that as a society, it's like that. Example, in the time I've been home, I've been featured as New York of the Week. I've been, like I said, in the Daily News, Vice News. Recently, of course, the People.
Revolt.
I can go on, right? There's pages and pages if you Google my name, my organization, of the positivity I've done since I've been home. But if you go right on Google and you Google my name, the first thing that's gonna come up is the false murder arrest when it hit the news in 2004, right?
Yeah.
It's my word. You go to Google, put my full name in, Sean Duke McFadder.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that pops up. This is 2004, right?
That's crazy.
So you have to tell me how is that still popping up as the first thing when you Google my name with all the positive there?
Yeah.
Right? What system? Who's doing that within Google? Right?
Yeah.
There's accountability there.
Yeah.
Right? Because you would think that by date, right, the relevancy and clicking will come up. I've been watching this since I've been home.
Yeah.
Right? Several years later, as every time a new news story came out about me and my organization, that stayed in the front because they want
Yeah.
people to see the most negative thing they can
Yeah.
about you and not see that positive.
Yeah, and because that's also gonna get the clicks, like you said. That's gonna get the clicks. Wow.